Well, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to come today with a conversation with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Cindy Van Arnam. We're here to talk about living a fully expressed life and with a little caveat through the numbers, but we've got all kinds of things for you. So please welcome Cindy Van Arnam. She is a divine timing coach and fellow master numerologist. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I think I'm so excited to just dive in. We are working with numbers, but there's so much more to it. And I just love having these conversations with you.
Right. I can feel my little, like inside the first conversations we ever had, we were just bouncing on my chair, on the chair. So I felt a little bit of that as this started. We're here to talk about some really beautiful aspects of transformation. And I really want to know, I love that you're calling yourself a divine timing coach. And I giggle because, you and I have known each other for over 3 years. Cindy, what kind of coach? What's the name? And you wrote that down, and I'm like, oh, good. I love it. But tell us why divine timing. Tell us what divine timing is. Share with us your world for just a minute, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I learned about the divine timing cycle back in 2019. And at the time, excuse the pun, at the time, I didn't really know what that meant, what it was, but I walked through a cycle and my whole life changed. And as I, became more and more obsessed with why did I change? What happened? I was working with Joy Kingsborough at the time, and she teaches universal law. And I was like, what is this? And so working with her, she started to describe it more succinctly. And so I started to embody it. The divine timing cycle is a universal law that is constantly affecting and changing everything in our world. Now, the one thing that I know to be true about this life and any life that any of us have lived is that the only constant is change. Everything's always going to change. And so when we know that, and so as we're going through our lives and we're walking the path of, relationships, business, going through school, having kids, whatever our life path is, we can use the law of divine timing to leverage our life and create the most extraordinary experience when it's already happening anyways. It's nice to have awareness of it and consciously choose how, as El Odin likes to put it, how to ride the wave. So yeah, and so I'm not going to teach the law of divine timing in this conversation, but there are 6 very succinct stages to divine timing that are constantly on the move. And we can hear the language as anyone is speaking and go, oh yeah, I know what time it is for you. You're here. This is what you need to do right now. Here's your focus. And there are a specific set of tools for every stage of divine timing. And when you start to recognize that and hear your own language, life gets mind-blowing, amazing.
I love that a lot. And I was writing down, man, December. So you were 2019, and I met Joy just at the end of 2019 and decided to work in 2020, beginning of 2020 with her. And so it was really the same thing. It was like, universal law, I think I'd been really familiarized, especially like reading a couple books, and it just came into my awareness, Esther Hicks' law of attraction. And so I was like, there are more laws. Like, I want to know the things.
Yep.
Boom, here comes Joy. And we learn the things we begin to learn the essence of it and where we are in it. And, I had been just coming out of some transformational work, neurosomatic kind of work. And so really doing the work without having the diagram. Yeah. And so meeting Joy, it was like, wow, and we can take this work into more of the frequency of love. Like, we can actually create through that frequency. And there was this merriment of all of the things, because I believed that although I totally believe healing is necessary in our life when we open up to that channel of awakening for ourselves, that there is so much more beyond that in creation. And so the words, and like, I just think when the student arrives, the teacher appears. And this is so many of the spaces that we met each other in over and over and over again on our journeys. And to know that there was life beyond the loop. So then, you begin healing and you become aware. So now you're hyper aware and you're taking responsibility in a sense, and you're overtaking responsibility. And so you kind of feel like you're in this little tug of war for a minute,
Yeah.
because it's so new and you want everybody to understand and you want everybody to come along.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about everybody, it's about ourselves.
Yes.
Right. So it really opened me up to, there's some acceptance to happen here with myself, and understanding that although I have a passion for creating things for the world to make it a better place, for someone to not suffer like I did, like I learned some stuff and I don't want you to hurt too. I don't need to fix you or rescue you. I just get to be more of me, and by being me can stay here and guide you.
Yeah.
Without telling you what to do, right? And that's the essence of the whole cycle, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, so I was laughing when you reflected back to me 2019. I realized, I was like, wait, it was 2018.
Yeah, I think you're a year ahead. Yeah, so fun. And then I was thinking, like, okay, so what does that mean? We've got this divine timing cycle. We've got ways to learn. We've got ways to understand where we are in that minute. And for me, I was really confused about that. I was excited to learn it, but I'm like, well, how does that apply to my life, right?
Right.
And it took a little bit to realize I don't need to be spinning anymore. I don't need to be doing all the things in the head. That was a really bad habit and pattern. I could just simply understand where I was in that cycle and then make a choice.
Yes.
And so, which was fantastic, because I came from the philosophy that life is a choice. We can choose how we react, respond. And I have been saying those words and really living those words since before I even started knowing what coaching was. And so I look back now on the journey and I think, man, the people that have shown up, the opportunities, the studies, the things that just continue to get better and better and better, is because we originally asked a question, who the heck am I?
Yeah.
And then the next question, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
And why does that matter? And really looking at that and not sidetracking or distracting ourselves from it, because that was another really big, beautiful thing that I realized I did. And then battled in the mind on why I can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we think of living a fully expressed life, that's what we titled this, right? What does that mean for you?
So for me, I used to think that creating this amazing life meant that it was always going to be rainbows and kittens. That's the terminology I love to use. It's just always wonderful. Nothing bad ever happens. It's all just hunky-dory. And that's just simply not true. And there was some acceptance in that I thought that if I did enough of the right work at the right time, that I would never have any challenges ever again. And to me, living a fully expressed life is about accepting all of the aspects of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, this is wonderful, that's not, all of those things. And it creates this holistic view of your life. One of the things I've always said is, if it was always just rainbows and kittens, you would be really bored.
Yeah.
And that can be hard to imagine if you're in a place where life kind of sucks, because I've been there where life sucks. And all I wanted was what the grass was greener on the other side. That was all I wanted. But that's not, if the grass is always greener over here, you forget what it's like to be back over there. Right. And so it's this beautiful combination of all of the things that come together. And in doing so, you get to celebrate life to its fullest. Yeah. You get to navigate the things that show up. You get to grow from the challenges. And you get a little bit of kittens and rainbows too. It's right.
Well, the kittens and rainbows that much better, right? And it's funny. I used to hear all parts of you are welcome. And I was like, yeah, they are, except I really don't want to look at those parts. Yeah. So again, the acceptance of coming into, now I can totally say everything you've been through, all parts of your experience of you, even the ones you don't want to remember, they're valid and welcome because they're all a part of you. We don't have to live in the past. Mm-hmm. In fact, we can actually get really good at discerning when the mind is in a pattern living in the past.
Yes. Yes.
Versus being here now. And I feel like a fully expressed life is finding the joy, the abundance, the beauty, the happiness, the love, the what's happening for us in the situation as best we can when
Mhm.
things turn around or all of a sudden change. It's like, oh, I wonder where this is heading, instead of like I even to respond
Mhm.
before, like I'd always be reacting to
Yeah.
something. But I really think the more we can bring ourselves into the present moment, we can bring ourselves back to, I have a choice right now.
Mhm.
I have a choice to feel what I'm feeling. I have a choice to let myself feel it as long as I want to.
Yeah.
And then I have a choice to switch it.
Yes.
And we don't have to just bypass it to the rainbows and kittens, or I'm not sure how you said that, but because that can be a misperception. So it's just about understanding, what is the perception in my mind right now? What is my
Mhm.
meaning I'm making to the situation? How am I taking in this information? Am I completely triggered and responding to life this way, like it's someone else's problem? Or am I willing to look at, it may not feel real great, but where's my participation in it?
Mhm.
That was everything to me. And then the next level was, and then how am I choosing to participate in the receiving of what I want?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I think that's so important, because maybe some of your audience doesn't know this story about me, but I come from a background of cocaine addiction. And in that addiction, at the time, I was making poor decisions. Let's just call it what it is. It was, addictions are addictions, but addiction is not a disease. It is a series of poor choices, or choices that aren't of service to where you're going.
Right.
And when I first learned about this divine timing cycle, I was beating myself up and in this pattern of, I'm stupid, I made bad decisions. How could you do that? You knew better. All of that inner voice, right? And so, in that, yeah, there was some healing that needed to occur. There was some deep acceptance work that needed to occur. But as I started to shift out of that, and that inner voice stopped yelling at me all the time,
Right.
it became instead a sense of deep gratitude for the journey that I had been on, and a recognition of that divine timing cycle as I came through my life, which we'll talk about when we get to the numbers.
Yeah.
But then it started to shift again as I started recognizing that it wasn't just about being in this divine timing cycle and continuously changing and healing and changing and healing and changing and healing. It then became, okay, now that I understand this, how do I want to leverage this and make this sucker work on my behalf?
Yes.
And so I can now look back at my life and go, yeah, I was a cocaine addict, but guess what? Now I'm having a movie made about my life, and I'm going to Vegas, and I'm a co-author in 5 books now, and
Wow.
I'm doing all these things, and my past does not hold me back in
Well,
any way, shape, or form.
and you're not triggered by it. You can tell the story because you're not emotionally attached to it anymore, which brings us into attachment and resistance and, the reactionary responses that are all of our responsibility. And we, a lot of times, just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And then when you do know, like I, I'm I just liked knowing more. I like knowing more how my brain worked. I mean, yeah, sometimes it really sucked. And most of the time it was like this. Oh my God, how did my brain sneak me and buy that one again? It's the
Mhm.
pattern, right? Here we go, showing up again. But being on the other side of that now, where it happens less and less, one, the gratitude
Yeah.
that I never thought I could get here.
Yeah.
And to be here now, it doesn't mean life's perfect. Doesn't mean I don't mess up. It doesn't mean I don't have responses and triggers. I just get to recognize them faster so they don't take me down.
Mhm.
Right. And I don't know, it's like understanding that internal coding really helped me develop me, the acceptance of me that much more. I didn't have cocaine addiction, but I had an addiction to the scale, an addiction to how my body looked, and it kept me so distracted and busy from making more friendships and putting myself out there in life and being more consumed with myself than what's happening in the world or being of service. So it's really interesting now to be of service
Mhm.
and reconciling all those times, because I promise you the voice in my head was not nice either, ever. In fact, I used to hear of like loving yourself and be like, oh my God, what is that like? That sounds amazing.
Right?
And
Same.
then followed by, shut up, you don't have time for that. Like, something like random. But it kept me in a loop of fear in the long run. I was afraid to branch out of what I knew. I was afraid to be like, well, who am I to be seen? Because I was afraid to see me.
Mhm.
So every time I thought it was someone else's something that was affecting my life, it brought me back to this mirror of, there's something in you that wants to be seen because you're used to shoving that under the rug and bringing all the attention to someone else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until falling in love with numerology, like we were talking before this, I didn't do any of this work for a business.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it is everything in my business now. It's the journey I took for me. I want to know more about me. I couldn't wait for someone to tell me more about me because I didn't know me.
Yeah.
But learning numerology, when it fell in the perfect divine timing cycle of the completion of the brain game, I began to understand. And I began to remember the parts of me that I did know that I wasn't always reminding myself of, the good parts, the strengths, the superpowers, how I took a challenge and made it work for me, how I
Mm-hmm.
did bring myself to gratitude and realized in that moment, nothing else mattered when things were going sideways outside of myself. It brought
Mm-hmm.
peace, right? And it could be repeated. So my journey with the numbers, you and I have journeyed for, well, you've been a little bit longer than me, but 3 years, and just completed a master numerology course. So we know a lot about numbers and
Yeah.
the book of life. And I'm gonna let you take it from here, but like for me, it was really that decoding of my inner coding that started to just resonate so deeply. And talk about, you can't make this stuff up. Like that seemed to be the theme song when you wondered if this system could really share that much about you and know. But because we're a series of patterns, we're patterning, we're numbers, we're the
Mm-hmm.
influence of all that consciousness as one. You really can't make that stuff up. So there's nothing that the numbers couldn't show us,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because when I first got a numerology reading way back in 2018, I had never had any. I mean, I had always been seeking the answers to who I was. I've read the Bible front to back, Quran front to back, the encyclopedia, the dictionary. I've read a lot of books about who I am, trying to figure that out and trying to get an understanding for this sense of there's got to be something more than just this world that we
Yes.
live in. And so constantly seeking who I was, but always seeking that outside of myself. Joy Kingsborough comes along, teaches divine timing cycle, and then gives me a numerology reading. And here's this girl, very practical, very logical. Give me the science, baby. And she's telling me this thing about these numbers. And I bet if I went and found the video, I would have been like this,
Yeah.
huh? Right? But I couldn't deny it. I could not deny the accuracy of it. And so my curious little brain goes, tell me more about that. I need to
Oh my
prove it. I need to understand it. I need to know all the things. What is this woo-woo numerology thing you're talking about?
God. Right? Oh
So
my God.
that starts my journey of learning the numbers. And of course, I start to learn it the first time and I'm memorizing every
Oh,
one. This is what it means, and it doesn't mean anything else. And I'm Googling things and I'm literally memorizing every word Joy says. And she says to me, don't memorize it, feel it. And I'm like, wait, what?
yeah.
Feel it? And then I remembered that I've been told this a billion times. Everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so busy looking at what's here in the material world that it's very easy to forget that.
Right.
But everything is energy, and energy can always be defined through a mathematical code,
Yeah.
which means everything is numbers, including us. When I started to really embody that, that's when things started to shift for me, where I wasn't looking for the proof of it and I was willing to trust it more and more and more. Where I was able to feel it more and more. And as I started doing that, I started looking at my chart and going, oh. And I started to see the divine timing cycle unlock in my chart, which helped me to bring so much peace to all of the trauma that I've experienced in my life. The loss of my father was one of the biggest ones. He died when I was 16 years old. It tore my whole life apart, and I could never understand why. And we learned in Mastery Numerology about doing transition readings. And of course, I geeked out, show me the proof. And I went in and looked at it, and I could breathe for the first time in almost 25 years because I saw it plain as day why he chose to leave when he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like my parents both departed before the journey with Joy began. And I made a lot of peace over the years, especially with my mom. I had a lot of anger as a kid with my mom. My mom was sick. She had multiple sclerosis in a wheelchair. I think as a kid, I always thought still there's a choice. So why are you choosing to not help yourself more, take care of yourself? You're drinking and I'm not like bashing my mom, but it was just like, as a child, I didn't understand why you didn't know that there were more choices.
Yeah.
Right. So looking at those charts and looking at how those relationships play in your life, how they're here to help us discover more about us. There was a couple weeks where I was just in tears because I realized the love of it. If it's true that we're here on a path specific to ourselves, if it's true that we agreed long before we came in here who we would be with to help us learn the most, and understanding that I always felt they left so early, but really everything started for me after that finalization happened. And it was right in my year of transition, that 45 year. And I helped so many clients going through different transitions. And we had all of it hit, like lost the house, lost the money, business, lots of family members, and whether or not that was needed or not, I don't look at it that way. I look at the thing that made me finally decide there's something more. There's this pull in my belly that wants to live life fully in my purpose, on purpose, to know myself. And it's always been the driving factor. So my curiosity was the same. There's a deeper meaning of life. And now that I don't have all that in my viewpoint, I can go, oh, it's always been there. I was the curious kid with the why, right? And even working with Joy, she would have me feel things because I was so busy. Just do all the things. Show me how to do the things, right? And would pop this in. Oh, you're a 2 of diamonds. I'm like, well, that sounds lovely. Tell me more about that. I like diamonds. Diamonds are good. Like, right? So I was giggling when you're telling your story because I'm like, she did that to me too, son of a gun. Yeah. So then I was just like, what is that? What is that 2 of diamonds thing? How can you tell me more about it? You don't need to know right now. She just waits. And then finally we get to a place where it was time for numerology. And I was like, yes, please. But, like using it, utilizing it, it doesn't dictate how we live our life. It's not going to.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Eat for lunch. It doesn't say, oh my God, you're a 2 of diamonds and you are nothing else.
Thank you. Oh my God.
That can happen. And when we understand, I'm going to let you break this down. Well, come with me on my
plan. Come with you, baby.
This beautiful thing you guys might know is a deck of cards. So I don't know how many of you have listened and seen me do readings and different things, and same for your feed, right? But there are key codes in here, and they align with our calendar, which aligns with our birthdays, which means whatever our birthday is determines our placement in this beautiful system.
Yeah.
Cindy is a 5 of diamonds. I'm a 2 of diamonds based off our birthday. And there are a lot of beautiful things you can learn about your birth chart, which we both help you with. So that's a beautiful thing. And then there's an aspect of this personality coding, how we've come to express that intermingles in there. But all of these cards are available for us. We journey through all of them or around them, depending on which cards we are at one time or the other, in hopes in that first 45 years to come back to a place where we want to live life a little bit differently with more love and more ease. And so, of course, we've learned lessons. I don't need the cards to tell me that I learned lessons, but the cards brought peace around why those things might have fallen into place when they did. And they bring peace in. What are some of the karmic things you're still like holding on to? The past. Where would you like to break free from that same old story over and over and over again, right? We have this opportunity to move through it that much faster from 45 on because we meet ourselves back in that magical moment of when we were born. So that's why we think, oh, midlife crisis.
Right.
Yeah, usually we've lived long enough for some things to feel like they just went flip and had the carpet pulled underneath, but it's intended for us to go, I have wisdom and things and resilience and all the things I've learned, and I don't have to keep going that way.
Yeah.
So it almost says like, would you like to look at a different way?
Right? Yeah. Right? I love that. And for myself, I haven't yet turned 45. So I'm
Well, then there's there.
excited that
Hi, everybody.
I got the little trick right before I turned 45. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and so, okay, let's talk about the numbers in that aspect. How can having, coaching with the aspect of numerology added in be helpful for that transition? We've spent a lot of time looking at charts of celebrities who are no longer with us and putting together pieces that are interesting, right? Knowing that those are transitory years and that there's propensity for things to be in big shift, how does that prepare you?
Yeah.
And how can that prepare someone for traveling with someone who's a numerologist? I can't tell you how many times we're like, imagine if the person had a numerologist and that pathway they met themselves at, they could look at it with higher perspective on each and then make that choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that divine timing cycle and the numerology, they go hand in hand. And understanding where you're at in the cycle, pairing that with your chart, looking at patterns that you're living, it's profound. It's life-changing. For me personally, it literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just opens a higher awareness. It brings us to higher consciousness.
Yeah.
It helps raise our conscious awareness and frequency, like a baseline. How do you want to live? How do you want to be? You want to be that angry person? Or be resentful your whole life? Or do you want to find more peace and ease and hope and bliss? Right?
Yeah.
I wrote an article way back when. It was called Get Busy Being Bitter or Getting Better.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally is that aspect of I either choose to be bitter the rest of my life or I choose to find a way to feel better.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And I think, we get so caught in our patterns and I didn't know what I didn't know back then, right?
Exactly.
So I
Yep.
think it's important for anybody out there who's listening, who's like, yeah, but you guys make it look easy. You've had a good life. No, I'm personally, and I know you, Michelle, as well, we used to be there in the spin and the beating up and the inner critic and this sucks and I don't know how to change it. But because we didn't know the tools to shift out, I personally didn't even know it was possible to shift out.
I didn't know possibility mindset was even a possibility until I realized I started living it. And I'm like, I have never known this.
Right.
I've never known.
Yeah. So we can't beat ourselves up for not knowing what we didn't know. But again, I had a decision back then. I could have stayed angry. I could have just, nope, I'm going to choose to be angry and continue to make these decisions and slam my own hand in a car door because I don't want to feel my own feelings. Or I can choose to put a little bit of faith in this thing and see what happens. Because honestly, what have I got to lose?
Right. Oh, I feel the same way. And it was like, I can choose the freedom. And I think the blessing that I was able to experience was this connection between mind and body. I kind of came in backwards. I had a lot of the somatic trauma work that I certified in because I'm like, whatever you just did to me, I want to know how to help others with that. Like, it freed me. So a little bit of emotion that I didn't want to face, and I surrender into that resistance, and it never came back.
Yeah.
And, we talk about patterns. We all have the ways that we've automated how we believe things, how we behave, what we believe to be true for us. And for every belief that we believe to be true for us, the ones that are working out well, we're doing a great job. The ones that aren't working out well, we're feeling stuck. And sometimes we rise above it. But guess what? I think the thing that just brings me so much comfort is if the mind can think that way, it can also think of all the things it hasn't thought of yet. And it can also play in possibility. And so if it feels strange to be in that place of, I'm going to choose to feel I am strong, I am beautiful, I am resilient, I'm capable of figuring this out. I had this example with a client yesterday. She's like, I don't spend time telling myself those things.
Right.
But I sure as heck spend time making a to-do list to drive myself crazy, to be a little busier so I can beat myself up if I don't get it all done.
Right. And avoid how I'm actually feeling.
Yes. And she's like, this is brilliant. Again, discovering that we can reinforce the positive just as easily as the negative. But here's the thing, our minds are wired for the lack and the lack bias.
Yeah.
It's designed to keep us safe. And the minute I knew that information, I could no longer be mad at myself or beat myself up because it was just doing its job
Yeah.
by
Exactly.
what I told it to do for 40 years.
Right? Exactly.
And so the experience, adding in the understanding of the divine timing cycle, just brings so much ease and awareness and peace, and moves out of that, like the 3D that we're living in the mind, in the physical, and all the things, and allows us to just travel a little bit higher, to connect more mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
Because undeniably, we still all know there's a higher something,
Yes.
no matter what we call it.
Yeah.
So I know this time has gone really fast for us already. I'm like, geez, girl, we should like keep talking. We have a summit coming up. And so
Yes.
the reason that we wanted to come and tell you all of these amazing things and share with you information and our stories is because we have a group of beautiful humans who, how many, 10, 12? Do you
Well,
know?
there's 10 people running workshops, but then
Okay.
there's like 15 more people coming in and showcasing and doing all sorts of beautiful things.
Which I love. So in essence, we have a number of amazing humans who have gone through this work, who want to share their stories and want to bring experiences, not the work itself, but experiences of the essence of the work and what's mattered to them, what made the most meaningful impact, for an entire week, next week, starting Monday,
Yes.
the 16th through the 20th.
Mhm.
And I have a panel discussion with you and a few others on Tuesday at 1:30, and a beautiful workshop about learning your numbers, knowing yourself, knowing through the numbers, on Thursday the 19th. So I wanted to be able to share that with you guys, as well as let you know that you can come to the summit for free. It's online, and replays are available through February 6th, correct? So share with us why a summit,
Yeah.
your vision for what this is.
Yeah, so I've had this vision for a very long time of moving this workout into the world in a big, big way. And this for me is just the beginning. This was an inspired idea, dropped in through 5D, just said, just do this thing and see what happens. And so I'm being very curious and open with what this process looks like. But, I come from a background of being able to organize things. So it was pretty easy to organize for me. What is an online summit? An online summit is a gathering in a very short period of time of a lot of experts who have a lot of wisdom to share. And that's exactly what we've created. We've got 5 days of incredible high value content. It's not a whole bunch of people selling you stuff.
No.
It's going to be people, you're going to walk away from every workshop you attend with something new that you've learned that you can implement right away to create a better life for yourself.
Yes.
If you should choose to work with any of these coaches, you are welcome to, and there's no requirement. You can just come and hang out with us and enjoy. The other piece to me that is very important is that this divine timing cycle is in every aspect of our life. From the moment of I'm aware that I'm hungry and want to eat some food, to I am aware that I have a message to share with the world and I think I want to start a business. How the heck do I do that? I'm going to be doing a 5-day workshop within the summit talking about that exact thing. How do you build a business in the online space?
Perfect.
And so I'm going to tie that divine timing cycle into every aspect of our business and how we can use this to ride the wave and make it easy so that we don't get caught up in all the overwhelming to-do lists.
I love that. So this is for moms, dads, humans, entrepreneurs, teenagers, anybody who wants to tune in to choose how to get out of this mental stress and anguish and live a better life. And we've also got the coaches, the teachers, the healers, anybody who wants to or feeling a shift or an addition to the business they already have. What I love about this work, Mastering the Brain Game and the boot camp, is it works so beautifully as additions to your modalities, right? I'm not going to say a lot of words because those are the words, but it's like you just got to experience it. So if you've been hankering to become a coach or to add to your toolkit, this is a beautiful way to certify in a business in a box And if you are a coach who haven't got your business up and running, this is another beautiful way to really learn what it takes to do that and how this all integrates together with what the system that you've created. What I love most about what you said is you're not going to be pitched every single day for someone, something, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel a resonance with that person and you want to work with them, you can always reach out.
Yeah.
Which is how it should be, you know, which I love. So any final words before we sign off today?
Yeah, I think one thing with the summit that I want to be clear about is, it's a lot of content in a very short period of time. And that can be overwhelming. That can be a lot to show up for all of it. So replays are available till February 6th. You can come and go as you please, and you don't have to go to all of it. Pick and choose what resonates with you the most, explore some of the replays later, go back and watch what you love, and just know that whatever you're drawn to is perfect for you in that moment. And you'll have plenty of time to catch the replays if you're drawn elsewhere as you dive in deeper.
Yeah, I love that. Because like our whole journey today, I feel like in the end, the theme has been we followed the breadcrumbs. Once we decided, the breadcrumbs started sprinkling and we're like, oh, one here and one here. And we just kind of followed them along.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else to say that works that way. I just feel like, again, when the student arrives, the teacher appears, the opportunity appears, divine timing kicks in because it's happening whether you know it or not, and it lands you right where you need to be for the next step. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for, as always, coming and talking with me and sharing your vision and integrating the visions that we have for the world together. And it's been fun. It goes really fast, and I'm glad we took the time today.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry about that. We will put the links below where you can sign up for the summit if you haven't already. And we welcome you. We can't wait to see you on Monday.
Beautiful.
All right. Bye for now.
Thank you.